Good afternoon. It is Wednesday. I have recorded my Huntington journey last time recently, but haven't a chance to actually finish where I left off. So, I'm currently here at the farm. I was like, I wanted to talk about it so I can finally keep moving forward and close what needed to be closed, and deal with it, and let justice prevail. And I wanted my voice to be heard. I wanted to be seen. I want this recording to reach the higher official at Huntington. The last time I talked about, from the very beginning that I started working at Huntington, my very first day there, until I had a new team member and new branch manager there. So I wanted to get into my last day at Huntington. What was my experience there? And I would like to apologize in advance if it's a little bit vague, but I'm gonna try my best to explain it as clearly as possible. So, okay, my last day at Huntington, that was 19th of December 2024. That was last year. So that very same month, that is the same month that I am traveling home, traveling from the US, from Minnesota to the Philippines. Originally, I had my flight booked back in May of 2024. I think that was May 28th. May 28th was that was supposedly my trip last year, because I'm supposed to attend my son's graduation, his graduation in elementary. But for some reason, I had to wait, because I have to wait my green card. I haven't gotten my green card until June, so I don't wanna take a risk. After so many years of working and waiting there in the US and doing all the right things, be a good resident, follow the rules and everything, I had to wait until I finally get that green card. So in other words, I had to cancel my trip. I had to cancel my trip originally the month of May, because I had to attend my son's graduation. It was heartbreaking. I was very heartbroken when that happened, because I'm supposed to be in the Philippines. I planned it even a year prior to that, because I've been saving for it. I've been saving for my trip to the Philippines, because I wanted to be on my son's graduation. But there are so many factors that held me back. One of which is, at the same time, I had my son's paperwork already in process for him to go to the US, because I petitioned Nathan already. I petitioned him to go to the US. So while waiting for my permanent residency, because I had a temporary residency before. Temporary residency allows you to work there, to travel within the US. You can even travel home, but it doesn't give me that that confidence and security that I can go back, because of the fact that it's only temporary, right? So I had to wait for my actual green card, for my permanent green card that lasted for 10 years, until I can go home. Though I already called the USCIS, I asked them, if it is okay for me to travel without the permanent residence. I was like, I don't want to take a risk, because it's about to expire, and I don't want to waste the years that I waited for nothing. I have my son's paperwork there already. I don't want to take that risk as well, because I had this mental note that I'm going to be a citizen. I'm gonna wait for my permanent residency. My son's paperwork is on its way. And then this year I am going to apply for citizenship. So everything's gonna work together for the good. Everything's gonna work smoothly. So I had to wait for that to happen. So with that said, you know, I was a little bit disappointed because I thought that I'm going to get my green card before my trip, before my original trip back in May. But then, you know, I haven't gotten it until June. So I had to cancel it. And, you know, I explained it to Nathan that I won't be able to go because, and I even asked my mom, and my mom said, no, don't, you know, don't take risk. And my mom told me, no, you just wait, you know, just wait. So, you know, I listened to my mom. I was like, okay, you know, Nathan will understand. I'm going home anyway this year. Whatever happens, whatever it takes, I'm going home anyway. It could be, you know, bare months, November or December. I will make sure that I'll be home by December. So, you know, it was very heartbreaking. I cried on the day of Nathan's graduation. Nathan's graduation, I was, you know, I was in Minnesota. I was at my apartment. I was looking at their pictures and I was crying. I was crying so hard because I supposed to be there. You know, they were sending me pictures of the graduation. They were walking on a red carpet and I was in Minnesota. All my bags are packed already, but I wasn't able to. I keep checking different flights to see if I can rebook my flight and fly the next day or next week, but I canceled it. You know, I was like, this is very heartbreaking. That was very heartbreaking. My heart was so broken at that time. And then at that very same time, I was also texting my, you know, my ex-husband, because my ex-husband and I were still friends. We were texting. It's not something that we're not talking about our future and, you know, we're gonna build a home together, a family together again, because we are no longer in a relationship. He understands where I'm at and I understand where he's at. You know, we don't have that expectations that we're gonna get back together again. But we are friends and he cares sincerely for Nathan. At least that's what he showed me. I don't know if that's real, but you know, I sent him the picture of Nathan, the picture of the graduation day, and he said, you know, he said like along those lines that congratulations, I'm happy, you know, I'm happy, very proud of him, something like that, something along those lines. I was like, okay. But I don't know, I was like, it was heartbreaking, but I hope Nathan understood and understand and will understand in the future why I have to do what I had to do, because I don't want to take the risk of our, you know, of our future, because I really wanted Nathan to go there, stay there, live there, and have education there and move forward with our lives together, you know, and be successful and everything. That was my dream. That was it. So that's that. Originally, my flight supposed to have a layover in Korea. So I had my layover in Korea in Japan. And I feel like everybody knew in Minnesota that I'm traveling back home, because even at that time, I think that was April, May. I don't know. I just feel like people were talking about I don't know. I feel like before I even tell anyone, which I don't think I did, because I'm very private when it comes to my stuff like that. I probably told few clients at the bank that I am going to the Philippines to, you know, to be on my son's graduation. And I've noticed when, I think that was a week or 2 weeks before my trip to the Philippines, I went to Central Park. I went there for a walk, and then I overheard some people say and talk about, oh, you know, she's going to Mexico. She's going to Mexico. And I was like, how did they know that I'm traveling? I mean, I didn't tell them that I'm going to Mexico, but I knew that at the same weekend, because that was a weekend that I walked to that park. That was the weekend that I walked to that park at Central Park, that I was packing my bag, I was packing my stuff, because I was excited. I know I was going to the Philippines. So I overheard people talk about, oh, she's going to Mexico. You know, she's going to Mexico. I mean, I didn't say anything. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why they knew that I'm traveling, but I'm not going to Mexico. But those are the things that just you know, it's a question mark to me, like how would these people knew that I am traveling? How would these people knew that, you know, like where I'm working, what did I do over the weekend, you know, those kind of stuff. And then I've also noticed at that time, that very same day, again, I'm not sure if it is Saturday or a Sunday, because I'm very consistent with my morning devotion. I always have a journal. Every morning I write like, you know, God's promise, the, you know, the word of the day, diary, journal. And I remember that very same day I was listening to Joel Austin. Joel Austin is my pastor. I haven't met Joel Austin yet in person, but I was listening to his podcast on Spotify, right? So I was writing this. I don't know what was the topic that he was talking about, because every day, like every single day, it is seldom that I fail to listen to Joel Austin podcast. That very same day, when I was walking in the park, you know, I felt like they were talking about what I've written on my journal, because I wrote the title of the, you know, the topic that Joel Austin was talking about, and then underneath it I put the initial J-O, okay, and that stands for Joel Austin. And I was walking at the park, and they were like talking about the word or the letter that says J-O, and they were like making interpretation, like they're saying just once or J-O, just once. I was like, am I hallucinating? Am I losing my mind? Is it just a coincidence that whatever I was writing, they can, I don't know. I was like, there's a lot of question mark in my mind. So many question. Like my mind, if my mind has like bubble popping up, it's going to be a lot of question mark, like what, why, how, where, when. And so many questions that I need answers. But I was like, is my mind tricking me or what? I was like, is this real? You know? But I was really surprised that they think that I'm going to Mexico. I don't know what they're trying to. That was back in May or June. Yeah, that was May. I think that was first week of May or last week of April that they were talking about me going to Mexico. I was like, do they have any plans that they're going to bring me to Mexico? Because I am going to the Philippines. That's where I came from. I'm a Filipina, right? So anyway, let's go back to my plan. I was, so, you know, long story short, I called my son on his graduation day. I didn't make it on his graduation. They were sending me pictures of them walking on a red carpet with my mom, my aunt, my in-law, and my niece, and my grandmother, and Nathan, you know. So they went to a restaurant. You know, Nathan was drinking Coca-Cola and everything. I was like, you know, he looks very disappointed. He doesn't even, he's disappointed because I wasn't there on his graduation day. But I know that now he understands, because what I did is for his future, you know, for him to have a bright future. So that was that. So June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Okay, so I had to reschedule my flight December. So okay, I was like, I wasn't able to make it in June. I'm gonna make it in December. I'll be there on Christmas. I'll make sure that on Christmas Day, Nathan has a gift that he's going to unwrap, because for so many years I've been saving gifts for him, and you know, this is the time for him to make sure that we are together on December 25 on Christmas. So that's that. My book has been rescheduled. Again, originally my flight was rescheduled for December, I think that was December 16 or something, or 15, around that week. It was the first week. It was a week prior to Christmas week, right? So I had that book again, right? I already had my, you know, my vacation leave submitted, my PTO, and everything has been organized already. And then October that year, October 2025, no, October 2024, I talked to our district manager, Carrie. She went to our branch, and you know why she did that is because our branch manager, Sam, she was saying about the communication that I had with her, that we don't seem to have same understanding, and I'm trying to talk to it in a light manner. So Carrie went to our branch in the month of October, and she talked to me about what's going on in the branch. She talks about numbers, attendance, apparel, and all that kind of stuff. And I told her about my issue with Samantha, because Samantha is always not present. She would leave the office in the middle of the day. I already said she arrives at work early, very early in the morning. She's an early bird, right? But she would always go home like super early as well. She don't even, it's probably very seldom that you see her close the branch. I can probably count it on my fingers how many times she only closed the branch. But most of the time you will just see her leave the company in the middle of the day without letting us know where she's going. I don't know if she's letting everyone know except me. But anyway, I made sure that it has been escalated to Carrie. I told her about it. I told her my issue about her, and she said that yeah, I knew that she's she's out. I don't know what I can't remember exactly the context of what we talk about, but let me talk about her comment towards me. So she said that these are the numbers that these are the numbers, and these are the cases, like, 'cause we have like cases and all that kind of stuff, like customer needs a signature for this, our customer what else, failed to submit this requirements, like if you're opening a business account, they failed to submit like the resolution. What else, they failed to sign the resolution, they forgot to get the letter from Secretary of State, that kind of stuff. Like there's so many missing documents that some business customer failed to submit, or there are some signatures that has not been signed by the clients yet. So she was saying about it, and I was like, look at my numbers, look at my numbers, look at how many look at how many resolved cases I have. Look at it, because what she's saying is very not true, very not true. I don't know why she went there at the office that day without looking at the numbers first. And then she also told me, because that day I think I was wearing like a leopard shoes, like a leopard pointed shoes or something. I think that was that. And then yeah, I think that was a leopard pointed shoe, something like that. And that day, although my home is super close to where I work, I was like, no, I'm not going to, I did not bring my black shoes to work. So and I told her that the only reason why Samantha talks about the career apparel and how the shoes that I was wearing, because I was wearing like a pointed shoes. I think it was the leopard that I was wearing at that day, or like an open toes kind of shoes, I don't know. But anyway, she wants me to change my shoes, and I was like, I also have that response to Samantha's review, that she only noticed my shoes is because that's retaliation. Why? Because when she went to our office and she was wearing a hoodie, I've given her a comment that I've given Samantha a comment that that's not how you wear, and that's not what you're supposed to wear at work. You're not supposed to wear that hoodie with loud message, because that is so unbecoming of a manager. So that is prior to her giving comments to my shoes, because she's the first one who broke the rule of career apparel. She went to work with that hoodie that says with the loud words, wearing that something like no fear, fearless kind of thing. You know, like I gave her comment about that. I mean, she did not comment, or she didn't say anything about it at that time, but that is what I'm trying to point out to Carrie, that the only reason why Sam pointed at my shoes is because that was a retaliation of my comment towards her career apparel, right? Because I have been working there at Huntington for I think almost 3 years already, and I've always been a representative, or you know, I always carry the career apparel with pride and dignity. Like I always go to work presentable and professional looking, you know. But anyway, I told her about it, and then what else we talk about? Also, you know, we talk about numbers and everything and her expectations. And that was also the very same time that she told me about, oh, I told you, I'm offering you to either go to another branch. So there were 2 branches that she wanted me to go to. It's either the St. Paul branch or the Blaine branch. So those are the 2 branches that needed the financial relationship banker. I had an option to go to 2 different branches to be the banker, to be the financial relationship banker there, but I declined it. I declined it at St. Paul due to security purposes. You know, St. Paul is an area that I wasn't very familiar about. It was an area that I am not very comfortable. You know, there's a lot of issues that happened there before that threatened my security. I mean, nothing happened to me when I covered that branch before, but traveling there every day on a freeway, especially if it's snowing, is going to be very, very challenging to me. Plus, the Blaine location, I'm not very familiar about it because I have been conditioning my mind that my next step is going to be the branch manager of Roseville branch. So the Roseville branch, that is the branch that I moved from Quarry branch to Roseville. So with Roseville branch, we worked so hard. We worked so hard with the other team members before. We worked together. My previous manager, we worked together to make it successful, and suddenly when this new team arrives, the district manager is asking me to go to a different branch, to go to either St. Paul or Blaine. I said no, Roseville is my branch. Roseville is my branch. What do you, I mean, I didn't say it loudly. I didn't say it loudly to her, but in my mind I was like, what do you think of me? After fixing this branch, you're going to transfer me and send me to another branch that is suffering, and then what will I do there? Be a hero and then make that branch be successful again? After all the things that I've done to Roseville, you're going to transfer me there? You know, I just feel like that was so unfair. I mean, looking at it now, I wish I would have considered it, because if I understand exactly where this, you know, all these things that's happening now, I should have just accepted the other branch and see what I could have done to make it better. But that time she wasn't, you know, we weren't having that very good conversation for me to be receptive. Maybe it was a different person who's telling me, like, you know, this is, you know, because I don't have problem with Carrie. Carrie is the kind of person that supports minority. She's the kind of person who likes to empower women like me, because we're also skin of color. You know, I'm Asian and she's also a minority. She's Hispanic, you know. So, you know, she likes to empower me. I understand that. I understand that she supported me. She verbally said it, that, you know, I support minority, like you, that I see potential coming from you, you know, and, you know, it made me feel good. It's just that at that point of time, I wanted to learn the people that I'm working with. I wanted to share what are the best practices to make this branch be more successful, because we were successful before already. You know, we were crushing our numbers, we were hitting our goals, and this new team that transferred to our branch, to Roseville, seemed so laid back. They were so laid back. They, you know, they were on their phone in the middle of work. Our branch became dead. Suddenly, it was like my clients, suddenly, I don't know, it was just so crazy. And then I've noticed that my clients on my database, the one that I've been taking care of, clients that I've been following up with, talking to, I've noticed that Samantha was looking at it as well. Like, I don't understand why, you know, those customers that I assisted before, maybe she looked at my sales before, maybe she looked at my numbers, because everything that I've touched, she touched it as well. And I don't know if those ones she made an appointment, or she called them and told them that, you know, moving forward, I will handle your account, without telling me ahead of time, without giving me some sort of, you know, what do you call this? Not warning, but rather, courtesy. You know, I was waiting for courtesy. I was waiting for her to tell me that, you know, I want to know your clients. I want to learn, you know, where they are at, what are their goals, what can I do to help you. She didn't do that. I will just notice that, you know, some of the customers that I've handled, especially those one that I had relationship with, professional relationship that I have built, you know, I know what their goals are, you know, what they are planning to do with their money, you know, when the CD is going to mature, because it's when the CD matures, that's a good opportunity for me to convert it to another sales. Another is either another certificate of deposit, or another money market account, or maybe a new relationship savings. I don't know. A lot of different opportunity, or smart money, smart market, money market account. So that was that. That was just my, you know, my sentiment. Like, at least give me some decency and courtesy, and let me know if you're going to touch my clients. I know you're the branch manager, but I'm the one handling and taking care of this account. So let me know first before you touch it, because I don't know if she's making phone calls to them and letting them know that, hey, moving forward, I'll be the one handling this. I don't know, because suddenly those ones that I have, you know, those leads that I have, suddenly are getting, I don't know, it's suddenly gotten sour. It gotten sour to the point that, you know, our branch became dead. Like, we seldom get this rush or wave of clients that would go, because before, when I was working with Joy, there would be days that the line is from here up to there. Like, we would have long lines, you know, and customer doesn't really complain too much about it. I mean, some of them does, but I think customer service standing out more than, you know, than complaints. But anyway, that was that. It was extremely weird. Plus the fact that we had an issue with the branch. Suddenly there was the water broke, and then, you know, the pipe broke at the back, where the tube is located, like at the drive up. There's like this office there, assisting customer who would go to the drive up. The pipe broke there, so we have like water leakage there and everything. So the branch had to close for 2 to 3 weeks, I think, and we had to go to different branches to cover. So that's what happened. Anyway, where are we at? So with that said, so I told Carrie about it, that she probably knew that I don't have a good relationship with Samantha, because, you know, the thing that I told her, I was very upfront with Sam. I told her verbally, I texted her, but she seemed like she's staring at the wall and she doesn't hear anything, you know. And she would just, you know, we would always have this one-on-one, we would always have this huddle, we would have this one-on-one talk. It's like, you know, I'd say consistently, we would have this talk about what's our plan. Okay, what are we going to do to reward our team members? Like, what if they have this large number of referrals? What if they do this and do that? You know, what kind of what kind of acknowledgement or rewards are we gonna give them? You know, maybe gift card, maybe lunch, stuff like that, stuff like this. I mean, she seemed very receptive about it, but she won't do it anyway, you know. And then I told her, because you know, I told her about my aspiration. I told her that I wanted to be trained to either CDRB, the customer dedicated relationship banker, get licensed, or maybe be a financial advisor. You know, those are the path or route that I would like to take. I mean, she would just say you know, but she's not doing it anyway. Like, I'm talking to a wall, like I'm talking to a dead tree, you know what I mean? And then, so what else? I mean, we had this communication. I have been very consistent with her. I have been very consistent with my communication, what I wanted to do, even with our team. Maybe I sound like I sound way too bossy or too demanding, because I wanted to make sure that we are working together. You know what I mean? Because that's the kind of leadership that I take away from the previous leadership, which is Joy, right? And then, and I also told Sam that you will never be like Joy. You will never be like, you know, you will never be like her, because she seems like, I don't know, and maybe that was out of line. And with that said, you know, I am not sorry about it. I really am not, because of the things that she said to me and the things that she did. I am not sorry. What she told me, what Carrie said, she told me that October, she told me that I'm a dictator. She said, "You're a dictator." I was like, you know, I mean, I didn't really dig deeper to why she said that I was a dictator. What, you know, I was like, I keep it in mind, but at home I pondered it and thought about it, like, in what way that she thought that I was a dictator, you know? Does she thought like I'm Hitler, or does she thought like I'm Donald Trump, or does she thought that I am Ferdinand Marcos Jr.? Like, I don't know. I don't think they're dictators, are they? Maybe Hitler is, but I'm not. You know what I mean? So that's the word that I have not forgotten yet. That she told me that I was a dictator. I'm not a dictator. You know, I am a leader. I'm a leader. I follow rules accordingly. I made sure that, you know, I show the standard of being a good role model and a good team member as well. If they don't understand my way of leadership and the way I talk, then, you know, I didn't do intentionally. And if there's anything that I've done intentionally or unintentionally to offend anyone, that I apologize. But those things that has done to me, that I have responded back and I retaliated back, I am not sorry about that, because, you know, I am not dumb to keep letting go of things that will put me down. You know, I am a person. I have, you know, I wasn't born to be silent. I wasn't raised to just, you know, be silent and don't speak up the truth, because I will speak up the truth no matter what. I'll speak up the truth. I will be honest. So that was my conversation with Carrie. And then with Carrie, she said, okay, where are we at right now? So what is your, you know, what are you going to do to, you know, to make a difference? Like, you know, with attendance, if you don't feel like communicating with Samantha, then let me know, communicate with me. And then, you know, that kind of stuff. So that was October, November. So with that, I mean, what is our conversation with Sam? Sam, you know, we would still have our one-on-one. She would still go to work and I would go to work. And then, you know, suddenly everything just seems so bizarre. Just suddenly everything just seems so weird. And especially that I was, you know, that I was dating Al at that time. I was still seeing Al at that time. And everything just seems so weird. You know, I was so very focused at work. At the same time, I was also focused on my trip. What's that noise? I was also focused on my work, which is, I mean, I was focused on work and I was also focused on my trip, which is coming December. So I have so many things on my mind at that time. You know, I have branch that I'm working at that I keep trying to hit our number because I need to get incentive. I need to get commission because I'm going to travel. And then I also have my trip in December that I have to save for. And, you know, buy pasalubong and everything. And, you know, I have to have enough money to spend when I'm in the Philippines. So those are the things that I have in mind that time. And then, you know, I also have Al that I was dating at the time, and I know I already said it when on my previous video that sometimes I would see Al's car at work, like during my lunch break, during, you know, it would, I don't know if it's him, but it's the same blue pickup car. Like, you know, when my workmate will go on lunch, I would also see that, you know, that car. I was like, this is weird. Like, what are you guys doing? You know, are you having team building or what? But anyway, that was just my observation. I'm gonna record another video because I feel like I'm running out of space already. So let me record another one.